Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo, and it's great to be on the show. We've got an interesting book with a fascinating title. There you go, Naijatiquette. The book is like this, but the title is written horizontally. Very creative, isn't it? I love it. And you can see the photo on the cover there. That is the one and only Lagos. There you see the Lagos buses. The book is colored yellow with that touch of green in the middle there, reminding us of our national colors, green, white, green. Written by Oluwayemisi Omotosho. This book addresses the all-important subject of etiquette. We've been talking about Nigeria not having enough foreign exchange. The dollar rate is high, pounds high, euros high, everything. Dollars are not coming into the country. We're not productive. And so I will leave that to the experts, the economists and all the experts. You know them already. But this subject, as I read this book, the whole thing just connects to all those because Oluwayemisi Omotosho talks about the need for us as a people to develop and practice good manners and civility. It's not that you're driving along the streets and, forgive me, somebody's weeing and pooing and people are throwing papers on the floor. Everywhere is dirty. People are fighting. No, of course, we're a great country, good people. I will not speak ill of my country, but those are realities. We go to cities like Dubai and London and other cities around the world that are beautiful because, we are fascinated by those cities because of the way they are built, because of the way they function, because of the way they are beautiful, and because of how you will not find people throwing stuff on the floor everywhere, dirty, and all those things. The brand of a country oftentimes determines how much foreign exchange it attracts. That's the truth, because if people love our cities in this country, they will come in with their hard-earned dollars and pounds and euros, and they will spend money here. And the more we have people coming into the country, tourism, of course, the more we have people coming in to our cities from all over the world, the more money our economy, the more boost our economy will have. We need to seriously work on that. Even without exporting oil and so on, if we have beautiful cities and fabulous people will come, money will come. We need to think seriously about that. But let me not talk too much. Naijatiquette, in some ways, makes that link, not just because for the health of our country, but also the opportunities it can create if we are civil and we practice good manners and so on. But I will allow Oluwayemisi Omotosho, who does great work in explaining this, I'll allow her to speak to all of us on this subject, which she has done so beautifully well in her book titled Naijatiquette, one that you have to read. But let's get to meet with Oluwayemisi and then enjoy this conversation.
Oluwayemisi Omotosho is a speaker, trainer, coach, and author. As an alumni of the University of Ibadan, Omotosho has over 2 decades of hands-on experience as a certified emotional intelligence trainer and coach. She's also a skills advisor of professional experience in human resources management and culture development. She is the convener of the Girls Circle, a social gathering for ladies of all ages. She joins Channel's Book Club to discuss her book, Naijatiquette.
Dr. Misi, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here.
My pleasure.
Oh, wow. Naijatiquette. This your topic is very interesting. Naijatiquette. Well, of course, having read the book, I know your thinking behind, but I would like you to just talk a little bit around that topic as you introduce this book, to viewers. Naijatiquette.
Thank you. So Naijatiquette as a name implies is a conjunct of two words. Naija being our local parlance for Nigerian, and ticket from etiquette. And the summary of the whole of this book is that we have etiquette as Nigerians, even before the colonization. And etiquette in this sense is not about opening doors for people or using the right fork. It's about properness. It's about civility. It's about properness, exactly.
Civility.
It's about
behavior,
kind consideration, behavior, so that we can create a community where we're all comfortable and where commerce can thrive, where people can grow, where people are appreciated. That's what it's all about.
There's so much to talk about in your book. Your book gave me headache. I was like, oh, okay, let's get real. I know, let's get real. Let's get a little bit dirty. Let's say it all, because it's all written here in your book. There was a day you were driving with your kid, and you saw a fully grown man in Abuja.
Yes.
A fully grown man by the side of the road with his genitals out.
Yes.
And he was doing the thing, doing peeing, yes.
Yes.
By the side of the road. And your child saw the man.
I did my best.
Almost saw
children,
the man. Yeah.
Yes.
Almost, your children almost saw the man.
Yes.
And you did your best to
prevent them
from seeing. And you were so furious. You were so upset.
Yes.
About it. You were shocked. Why is this by the side of the road? And that is unfortunately
a uniformed man.
Yeah, I was going to land there. You were thinking you were going to report if you had time. You were going to take this up officially. Before it dawned on you that the man who was doing that was a uniformed man.
Yes.
Which institution, by the way? Was it police or
it was a
military? It was a police officer.
It was a police officer.
And that is not an uncommon thing
at all
in Nigeria. No. So I picked that as an illustration. You gave a lot of illustrations in your book, but I picked that out for you to talk about and use to illustrate, what you mean by etiquette, Naijatiquette, in this book and what you are driving at.
Thank you. So etiquette generally has two presentations. It's either it's diffuse or proximate. So, this explains how we not only pay attention to the things we do where there are other people, we also think about the impact of what we do on them. That's what those two stand for. And this particular incident that you mentioned happened during the school run time. Usually between like the hours of 2 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. when people are coming from school. So it wasn't just about me and my car and the children. It was about a lot of parents with underage children in the car having to witness a grown man doing that. And the fact that that has an impact on the children. For some who begin to wonder, what is that? And the fact that apart from the assailing of their senses, it's the smell that people create by defecating publicly, which is so common in some parts of the country, and it's actually like norm. And that we will not even think of the fact that every time somebody pees or does the big job in a space that we all share as, for example, Lagosians or Abuja people, you think about just your pee. But what if everybody in that community also peed? We're going to all be walking through a river of pee.
Dr. Missy, you need to dig into this book for us, and just I want viewers to feel what you feel and to be eager to read this book, because it is a book that, if we're talking about national orientation, national reorientation, this should be a material. It should be like a compulsory handbook. But it strikes me because one of the things you emphasize in this book is the need to create a positive national image.
Sure.
To project Nigeria as a place to be. As when people hear Nigeria, it should connect in their brains with positivity and all that. The late Lee Kuan Yew, I don't know if I pronounce his name well, the former Singapore Prime Minister.
Yes.
He said, if you want to understand the country, he said study the airports.
Yes.
And if I'm correct, he said about 5 kilometers around the airports.
Yes.
He said that anytime he went to a country, he looks at the airports. When he gets out of the airport to check around, to see, and that tells him a lot about the country. I think in a way that is also applicable here, right?
It is, because there's so many things that we do without thought. So when I sit in an office, and I understand that there's a lot of mention on corruption, but the bigger corruption that we have is the corruption of values.
Corruption of values.
Yes,
you wrote that.
Yes, it's a corruption of values, because the Nigeria that I grew up in was a Nigeria where there were so many things you couldn't do because you knew that you wouldn't get away with it. And it was not a law. It was not an enforcement of government agencies. It was from the family. It was from the community. But we're in a place now where people do things without recourse to, who's going to stop me?
We've lost those values.
So you have a person, I had an experience that I will share with you. I was in Montreal several decades ago, and a Ghanaian man took me to a place called the Nigerian Village. And it doesn't have any Nigerian. All of these people came into Canada in the 70s and 80s using Nigerian passports. Wow. And they committed every crime under the sun. A Ghanaian took me there.
Oh, wow.
And told me, you see, you Nigerians, you're so loud-mouthed, you're so this and that. But you see this village? And it was called Nigerian. It's still there. But Nigerians don't live there. And this is the harm that we do to ourselves when we don't think through the things that we do. When you're a government officer signing up on something, that you just collected 2 naira or 20 naira or 10 million for, you do not think in terms of the ripple effect, how far it's going to go. When you're defecating in public, you do not consider the effect on your nation and on the people that share that space with you. When you are having a party in your house until 2 a.m. on a Sunday night, and you have neighbors who have to go to work.
The music is loud.
You're not thinking about them, but what if you were the one on the receiving end? So that's why I mentioned in the book that this is a love-lost situation, because we go out there, a few of us go out there and damage the image of Nigeria, forgetting that it now creates a narrative that Nigerians, you've heard it, Nigerians are corrupt, Nigerians are dirty. Nigeria is a dirty place, which means Nigerians are dirty. We're not all dirty, but the narrative out there is that it's a dirty country, it's a corrupt country, we're very aggressive. All of these things are coming from experiences that people have had with fellow Nigerians like you and I. And the truth is, because we're also not writing a narrative, and you are in journalism, you know that negative bias exists and bad news sells. So every time I watch an Al Jazeera or CNN, when they show, for example, even Lagos or Abuja, they show all these children with kwashoko, and they show this traffic, and they show these dirty houses, and I'm thinking, have you not been to the parts of Nigeria where we have do we live on trees? Because they are writing the narrative for us, and they're writing what they must. So we also must come to that place where we rewrite our narrative and tell our own stories. But it's not enough to tell stories. We have to first change our thinking to understand that we don't live in isolation. Everything I do as a Nigerian reflects on everybody else
every other
that is Nigerian everywhere in the world. And then we write that narrative to say, you know what, this is Nigeria, and we can do things properly.
That's powerful. The chapter that really struck me is, you didn't give chapter numbers, by the way. I'm sure that was deliberate. But this is page 57, Safeguarding the Common Good.
Yes.
Which is what you just said now. Each Nigerian must protect Nigeria.
Yes.
So let me clarify here that Naijatiquette is in no way a bunch of rules or guidelines attempting to prescribe appropriate behavior, as the French ticket did. Rather, it is the mindset behind every decision to predispose every true Nigerian to act in ways that will support the common good of our societies and our national image. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, now you said Naijatiquette is a preferred way of thinking designed to guide our individual and collective choices as a people in the overall interest of communal respect, stability, and growth. Okay. Interesting. Now, let me run to where you wrote in page 59. The value systems on which our traditional communities were based from the very beginning include, but are not limited to, family, integrity, fun, respect, diligence, collective nurturing, and collaboration. We were and remain deep down a people with deep-seated interests in the well-being of our family, friends, neighbors, and the collective prosperity of our land.
Yes,
were we?
Yes, we were.
We almost can't recognize ourselves again.
We totally morphed into something else.
Wow.
And that's why it shouldn't be a surprise that everything keeps going down. In those days, in this same country, people cared and people did the right things, not because it was comfortable, but because they understood the simple fact that what goes around comes around. And if everyone did the right thing, we would have the right environment. If we all began to do the wrong things, it was an informed self-interest, which is the same thing with the West. I mean, I've seen crimes committed in the West that they don't make a lot of noise about it. But the truth of the matter is people don't commit crimes because of the fear of getting caught. Society will frown at you. The law will go for you. And so they stay on the straight and narrow because of that. And then they have a bigger picture thinking where they see it as, oh, I'm American. I have to be American in the interest of America. Are we thinking like that? Are we saying to ourselves, it might be inconvenient, but in the interest of Nigeria, shouldn't I do the right thing? Because if Nigeria looks bad, I look bad. That's why I said it's informed self-interest. We don't see it that way. We look at it from this perspective of, oh, I'm okay. I can pay 42 million naira for a school for my kids. I have generator. I have all of that. I have a car. What do I bother? But it's an illusion. Because it's all going to fall flat on all our faces eventually.
Interesting. But my question to you is, so you write here, sincerely, we need to wake up and quickly begin to rewrite our national narrative. It's a matter of urgency.
It is.
We have a huge opportunity to now agree on and choose to collectively live by rules that can appropriately define our Nigerianness.
Yes.
We can build a compelling case for why we must do this now, regardless of creed, ethnicity, or religion. Fortunately, time is not our friend, but I would like, Dr. Misa, I would like you to, just two questions wrapped in one, which we can do it in a few seconds in terms of responding. Why are we like this? Why have we turned into this? Because this is very alarming. I was reading each one you wrote, and there are many more. We just highlighted a few here. I was reading through this, and I kept thinking, why are we like this? Adults, even police officers standing by the side of the road, peeing. Peeing is not just it, they also do the big one.
Yes, they do.
Have you seen?
Yes.
And driving by. Dead bodies on the road.
Yes.
Littering everywhere. Everywhere is dirty. Drainage is blocked. What has happened to us? And then, what is your overriding message? What's your main message in terms of us dealing with that to be able to build a proper nation that you've put in here?
Thank you. So first off, we're like this because of our loss of our value system. The reason we were better back in the day was because of our ethics, the things that we valued, of course, community, family, diligence, all of those things have gone off. And because these are the very foundations of a community that has excellence, we have to go back to them. And it will start from the families, because your children spend time in school, yes, but they spend more time at home. And they would mimic the things that they see you do. So it has to go back to the family unit where we have to begin to retrain. And as a nation, it's interesting that we talk about culture. Yes, Nigeria, we have Igbo culture, Yoruba culture, Hausa culture. We have a Nigerian culture. We have to come to that rallying table where we see ourselves first as Nigerians before we see ourselves as whatever tribe that we come from. And the good part is, in our constitution, we already have those 7
Oh yeah,
that I
those
mentioned,
7 that you mentioned.
that we
Yes.
can actually begin to grow our culture by, that will bring us together to be some sort of glue, so that we can, as people will go out and say, I'm American, and you can see the American culture on this person, or I'm British, I'm conservative. If we can begin to ingest this, our own ideas in our constitution, we can morph into that culture of a people, a new brand that can actually be respected on a global scale.
Don't you think this thing comes down to, well, don't forget that second question, by the way. Please remember to go back to it, and forgive me digressing. Don't you think this thing comes down a lot to leadership? Because, you know, the challenge of from down up, you know, is you're beginning to, you somebody like me is wondering, where do you start? If you say from
the egg or the chicken,
yeah, where do you start? You know, because we've gotten it wrong in education.
Yes.
We've gotten it wrong in terms of lack of indoctrination. Great countries indoctrinate their children. They indoctrinate them using the educational system to think in certain ways around nationhood. And when those kids grow up, that sense remains with them, you know, and it impacts on the way they relate with their country.
They relate.
Yeah. So, but we have messed that up.
True.
We've not done that. We've messed up our educational system. We've failed to indoctrinate our young people, you know, and there is that serious lack of national identity.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, where do you start? Wouldn't it be easier if leadership then drives that change? What's your thoughts on that on the final note?
Okay, so I think it's a two-way street. I think there's a lot of work for leadership, but also for the followership. Because there is this saying about the people deserving the government that they get. Our leadership is our people. They're a reflection, they're a percentage of who we are. So at the end of the day, there's a lot that government has. For example, I believe that the NOA has to be prioritized in the scheme of things, as well as even the VOA. They have to become voices to disseminate the correct information.
Did you say NOA?
Yes, National Orientation Agency.
Okay, National Orientation.
It should be a powerful tool that should be adequately equipped to drive that message.
Funded.
Exactly.
Because I wonder how much they have in the budget.
I wonder, and I'm sure it's probably paltry, so they can't do so much. It's not just about having offices all over Nigeria. It's about doing the work. There's a lot of work to do to clean up the system, but conclusively, there's also a lot of work for us to do individually, because you come to a point where we can only control what we can. So I don't know the president one-on-one. I can't influence what he does directly, but I can influence what I do as a Nigerian. I can stand my ground on certain things to say, I will do things properly. It's going to cost me, but I will. Because even if I don't live to enjoy it, somewhere in the future, my children or grandchildren can enjoy it. While I can also work on people that I know have influence to say, you know what, people, do something about this. Government policies, government initiatives to ensure that we do things to rebrand Nigeria and put us back on the global stage.
Dr. Missy, did you answer that other question? You've already, but I think we've answered it in
what we all need to do, because there's something that each of us can do. There's something you can do. There's something I can do. And that's the fulcrum of this. Let's focus on what we can do individually, so that eventually we can have a nation we can be proud of.
If I change, Nigeria will change.
Eventually.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on Channels Book Club. Well done. Congratulations. And I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you very much.
So much to think about there, so much to chew on there. We really need to take national etiquette, individual etiquette, civility, good manners. We need to take those things seriously. You know, when we were young, they used to teach us those things about not keeping the environment tidy, and you know, when you talk, consider other people, and all those nice things that they used to teach us when we were young. Where are those things today? Where are those values in our society today? We need to bring them back. And like Oluwayemisi explained to us, those were not things that came with colonialism. Those were things that our people had before colonialism. So we need to bring them back. We need to teach ourselves our own history to know that our people were great people before the Oyimbos, if you get what I mean, came before colonialism era. We had families, we had leaders, community leaders, we had obas and kings and obis and so on who taught those positive values at all levels, and we need to return to them as quickly as possible so that our country can be beautiful to visit in the future, near future. Well, this is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Send us photos and let's know what you are reading. Send us a picture of you and your latest book, the book you are reading currently. Send it to us through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. You might win something. Don't take that lightly. Send us. Let's know what you are reading. Tell us what you think about Naijatiquette, and then get yourself a copy of Oluwayemisi Omotosho's book. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.